up, guys? It's Ryan with DP Marketing.Services, author on the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors, which I actually have right here, handily convenient. Also the host of Blue Collar CEO. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing good. I know you're busy, so thanks for stopping by. Coming at you video on something that's kind of fun. We've done topics like this before, but today I want to come up with maybe some new ideas and a new angle. Basically, I wanted to go after 5 SEO myths that people just like you, contractors in the trades, marketing companies, that I see a lot of bad or wrong information getting thrown out, and thought, man, this is just a great time to come out and just talk what SEO is and isn't. And what better way than busting myths? You know, one of these days, by the way, I'm going to get these really cool, like animated things that make people be like, wow, you're so cool, but I'm not. All right. Myth number 1, and by the way, there's probably a lot of myths we can go down. I kind of wanted to go through the most common things that we see. Myth number 1, websites rank. Now you're going to hear that and go, wait, what do you mean? That's what SEO is. It's about ranking your website. Not quite. Websites don't rank. Pages on your website rank, and there's a very big difference. You're wanting to basically create content for a person with a specific search. So here's a weird example. If you're looking for red tennis shoes, cool. Google's going to be looking for the most relevant pages that talk about red tennis shoes. Okay. If you're talking about sandals and talking about, watches that you sell and hats, like if you're talking about all these other things, Google's not going to rank you for those things. Websites themselves don't rank. Pages on the websites rank. So it's really important to make sure that you know what you're trying to rank for and how you're going to try to get it up, because you're not going to get it globally. It's not going to go across the board. You have to make sure you're targeting specifically the types of intent that you're looking to go after. So web pages don't rank. Websites don't rank. Web pages rank. Myth number 2, SEO is fast. Oh, this is a good one, because a lot of guys, especially if they've been doing SEO for like 4 or 5 months, they're like, what the hell is happening? Nothing's moving. Like, yeah. Welcome to SEO. In some markets, like in some very rare cases, like we've seen page 1 rankings happen in 48 hours. That is extremely unusual, right? That is not normal. What's most common is Google's timeframes. Google says you can see movement between 4 and 12 months. That's Google's own words. So if you're in a really soft market, really rural area, you might be able to say, hey, you might see it on the shorter side of 4. If you're in a really competitive market, Dallas, Chicago, Northern Virginia, you might see it on the longer side of 12, if not more than 12. In some of these markets, it's just very, very, very competitive. And if you go in there with unrealistic expectations that you're going to do SEO for a few months and then magically get page 1 rankings, like, no, that's not going to happen. It takes a lot of work. So that was myth number 2. 1 was websites rank. Myth number 2 is SEO is fast. Number 3, this isn't really a myth. This is more of a word of advice. Listen to Google. Like literally listen to Google. And by that, I mean, Google does a really good job putting blogs out, putting YouTube videos out, having Twitter stuff out that helps give an idea of what they're thinking, how they're thinking about things. Don't listen to salespeople. Don't listen to other guys in the trades who have an opinion. If you're trying to go after Google, you want to pay attention to what Google's saying. Now, here's the trick. If you're really smart about this, if you're paying attention to what Google's saying, what they're tweeting, what they're putting out with like John Mueller, for instance, you're going to also notice that there's a lot of things that are nuanced. There's a lot of things that are really complicated. There's a lot of things that appear contradictory. So it's not just a matter of, oh, pay attention on Twitter and do those things. Sometimes you have to really do the work of analyzing and interpreting their overall intent and do your best judgment in the middle. So don't necessarily go for every sort of sales pitch that you hear or for every sort of contractor who thinks he knows what he's talking about. SEO is extremely complex. It is sometimes contradictory. The best people to get information from is going to be from Google themselves, like full stop. So pay attention to Google. When possible, we try to always like show our sites for Google data. So if you're like a client of ours, you've probably seen it. Like we'll link to a Google article or link to a Google video, something. We help you see, like, we're not making up this crap, right? This is what Google's saying. So there's that. Websites rank, SEO's fast. Listen to Google, which isn't really a myth. Number 4, What we want to do here is talk about how competitive it is. And by that, and I just said that in the most awkward way, competitive it is. Guys, I mentioned this earlier on the SEO is fast. If you are in a really complicated, like aggressive market, let's talk about Dallas-Fort Worth. Dallas-Fort Worth is one of the largest metro areas in the United States. There are hundreds and thousands of HVAC, plumbing, electrical contractors in just those two counties, in Dallas and Tarrant County. And there are millions of customers looking for contractors like you. It is unrealistic to think that you could start doing SEO and meaningfully compete over the entire metro area within just a few months. It is unrealistic. It's not impossible. It's an outlier. Instead, if you're trying to go after a large, aggressive market, be mindful that it's going to take time. It's going to take resources. Probably for you, it's going to be large about money, but it's going to take resources on whoever's doing work for you. They're going to be doing PR opportunities, helping make sure your reputation's solid. They're going to be doing a lot of on-page content development. They're going to be doing a lot of off-page link development. There's going to be a lot more work just because it's more aggressive. If you are in, so I mentioned Dallas-Fort Worth, if you're in the panhandle of Texas, if you are right now watching this in Canadian Texas, it's going to be a whole lot easier. So you don't have a lot to worry about. The more aggressive the market, the more difficult the work. There should be no expectation on anyone that if you're in a large aggressive market that things will ever be easy. It won't. And that's true with AdWords, that's true with social, that's just true with growing a business. In a large market, it gives you certain advantages, but also it's a more crowded space. So that's the pros and cons. So that was number 4. Websites rank, SEO is fast. Listen to Google, which again isn't a myth. Make sure that you keep in mind how competitive it is. But here's the 5th thing, right? It is not a proven process. It is a scientific method. And by that, I mean, there's trial and error. There's understanding what Google's doing, making your best judgment, making an effort, like seeing what happens, and sit back and see what happens. Monitor the results. Did it work? Did it not work? Did Google not even pay attention? And then adjust accordingly. There is no such thing as saying what you're going to do today for Google that Google will even care about in a week or a month or a year. There's always going to be this sense of like trial and error to make sure that you're always doing your best efforts. So there's not a like get a box off the shelf, there's your SEO. There's not a, hey, I'm going to push a button and get SEO. That's not how it works. It totally is trial and error, trying to see how can you best leverage your strengths to help compete and rank on Google. Google's SEO specifically, like obviously there's Amazon SEO, there's YouTube SEO, but Google organic SEO is a large umbrella. There's a lot to it. There's over 200 known variables. It is not one of these things of, all you do is just add keywords to the site. And all you do is add blogs. Like all of those might be okay, but all of them are also painfully incomplete. And so I thought it'd be helpful to come out with this video to talk about the top 5 myths. I'm curious to hear from you. Are there any myths that you would add that I didn't include? If so, leave a comment below. As always, guys, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. We'll see you next time.